Kamma is not only an integral law of the process of becoming, it is itself that process, and the phenomenal personality is but the present manifestation of its activity. The Christian axiom of hating the sin but loving the sinner is meaningless from the Buddhist standpoint. There is action but no performer of the action. The sin and the sinner cannot be disassociated. We are our actions and nothing apart from them. Modes of conditioning. The conditioned nature of all mental and physical phenomena is analyzed under 24 heads, called in Pali Pakaya, modes of conditioning. Each of the 24 Pakayas is a contributing factor to the arising of conditioned things. The 13th mode is Kamma Pakaya and stands for the past actions which form the base or condition of something arising later. The 6 sense organs and fields of sense cognition, that is, the physical organs of sight, hearing, smell, taste, touch, and mental awareness, which, as we have seen, arise at birth in association with name and form, provide the conditioned base for the arising of subsequent consciousness, and hence for the mental reactions following upon it. But here it should be noted that although Kamma as volition is associated with the mental phenomena that have arisen, the phenomena themselves are not Kamma results. The 14th mode is Kamma result condition or Vipaka and stands as a condition by way of Kamma result to the mental and physical phenomena by establishing the requisite base in the 5 fields of sense consciousness. That there are events that come about through causes other than Kamma is demonstrable by natural laws. If it were not so, to try to avoid or cure sickness would be useless. If there is a predisposition to a certain disease through past Kamma, and the physical conditions to produce the disease are also present, the disease will arise. But it may also come about that all the physical conditions are present, but through the absence of the Kamma condition, the disease does not arise. Or that with the presence of the physical causes, the disease arises even in the absence of a Kamma condition. A philosophical distinction is therefore to be made between those diseases which are the result of Kamma and those which are produced solely by physical conditions, since it is impossible to distinguish between them without a knowledge of past births. All diseases must be treated as though they are produced by merely physical causes. When the Buddha was attacked by Devadatta and was wounded in the foot by a stone, he was able to explain that the injury was the result of some violence committed in a previous life, plus the action of Devadatta, which enabled the karma to take effect. Similarly, the violent death of Moggallana, there was the combined result of his karma and the murderous intention of the rival ascetics whose action provided the necessary external cause to bring it about. Causality. The process of causality, of which Kamma and Vipaka are only one action-result aspect, is a cosmic, universal interplay of forces concerning the question of free will. In a causally conditioned universe, the view of reality presented by Henry Bergson, which when it was postulated was new to the West, throws considerable light on the Buddhist concept. Life, says Bergson, is an unceasing becoming which preserves the past and creates the future. The solid things which seem to be stable and to endure, which seem to resist this flowing, which seem more real than the flowing, are periods, cuts across the flowing, views that our mind takes of the living reality of which it is a part, in which it lives and moves, views of the reality prescribed and limited by the needs of its particular activity. Here we have a Western interpretation of avidya, ignorance, views of the reality prescribed and limited by the needs of its particular activity, and of anicca, the unceasing becoming, the principle of change and impermanence. Bergson also includes in his system anatta, no self, for in this process of unceasing change there is the change only. No thing that changes. So says Bergson, when we regard action as a change of complementary parts linked together, each action so viewed is rigidly conditioned, yet when we regard our whole life current as one and indivisible, it may be free. So also with the life current which we may take to be the reality of the universe, when we view it in its detail as the intellect presents it to us, it appears as an order of real conditioning, each separate state having its ground in an antecedent state, yet as a whole, as the living impulse, Kamma. It is free and creative. We are free, says Bergson, when our acts spring from our whole personality, when they express that personality. These acts are not unconditioned, but the conditions are not external, they are in character, which is ourself. In other and Buddhist words, our sankhara or karma formation of the past is the personality, and that is conditioned by nothing but our own volition or cetana. Bergson details an elaborate philosophy of space and time to give actuality to this dynamic view, which he calls creative evolution, and his general conclusion is that the question of free will against determinism is wrongly postulated. The problem, like the indeterminate questions of Buddhism, cannot be answered because it is itself a product of the peculiar infirmity, that special view of reality prescribed and limited by the needs of a particular activity, which in Buddhism is called avidya, the primal nescience or nescience. The concept of causality in the world of physics has undergone modifications of a significant order in the light of quantum physics and the increase of our knowledge regarding the atomic structure of matter. Briefly, the present position may be stated thus: while it is possible to predict quantitatively the future states of great numbers of atomic units, it is not possible to predetermine the state or position of any one particular atom. There is a margin of latitude for the behavior of the individual unit which is not given to the mass as a whole. In human terms, it may be possible to predict from the course of events that a certain nation, Gondolier, will be at war by a certain date, but it is not possible to predict of any individual Gondolian that he will be actively participating in the war. He may be a conscientious objector outside the war by his own decision, or he may be physically disqualified outside the war because of conditions over which he has no control. We may say Gondolier will be at war, but not that Gondolian will be in the war. On the other hand, not that Gondolian will be in the war.